Well, hello everybody and welcome along to 2023. Great to have your company as we start the International Endurance Series calendar as tradition dictates with the Hankook 24 Hours of Dubai. Something a bit different this year. Sorry, John Hindorf, Phil Anson and Joe Bradley with you here in the sunshine at Dubai Autodrome. Something a little bit different this year because, yes, this is the first race of 2023, but Dubai 24 Hours is the second race of the brand new Middle East Championship. We were in Kuwait at the early part of December for 2022, and we had a cracking race down there at the brand new Motortown, Kuwait Motortown. This 24-hour race is the middle and the longest part of it, and then next weekend it's down to Yas Marina for the conclusion of the championship with 6 hours of Abu Dhabi. That always used to be a standalone race. It's now been incorporated into this Middle East Championship. Phil, we had a great time down at Kuwait. Happy New Year to you. Did you have a good Christmas?
I did indeed. Hello, John. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dubai. And there we've got the calendar coming up for the entire series this year, starting off with 24-hour Dubai.
They're moving to Dubai, as we mentioned. That's not part of the rest of the series. Mugello is the first of the European races, 12 hours. Then to Spa-Francorchamps in May. Then we go to Monza in June. Pretty much a race a month, as you're seeing there. 12 hours of Estoril. That's a new track for us with a 6-hour qualifying race. The last time I did anything like that was at the Western Supermare Beach Race, where there was a 4-hour qualifying race for
wow.
a 6-hour race on the Sunday, I think. The big European race, of course, is always the 24 Hours of Barcelona. It's moved a little bit later in to September, 15th to the 17th, and we'll finish off back in Kuwait. That ends the 2023 season. Again, a little bit later than it was last year, but again, that will start next year's Middle Eastern Trophy. The green light has come on at the end of the pit lane, so the first 15 minutes has started. Let's pop down to Joe Bradley down there, because Joe, first of all, Happy New Year, Joseph. Happy New Year, Joseph. Hello, Joe.
Pit lane at Dubai. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome down in the pit lane of Dubai. I've got to say, guys, the sun is shining. It's really, really hot. We're not going to talk about how that's going to affect the tyres. For now, we're going to talk about this event and what we're about to get on with. Qualifying just about to go ahead, John.
Thank you, Joe. Joe Bradley down there in the pit lane. So a slight change to qualifying then. This is TCE qualifying for the first part. Now, TCE is the Touring Car Endurance part of the championship. It includes touring cars, Touring Car Invitational, which is TCX, and GT4 as well are in this part of the race this weekend. That's why you're going to see some cars that don't look particularly touring car-y, but it's all about relative performance, Phil, and having driven a GT4 car many years ago now, back in 2017, I can tell you that GT4s and TCRs are very evenly matched. It's all down to the driver.
Indeed it is. There's our one and only TCX car. That is the Cayman, the Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 from Team Sorg Rennsport, the 227 car. Only one in that field. 5 TCR cars, 5 GT4 cars, 1 TCX car. First of this 15-minute session. The way this session is going to work is that if you have an AM driver, you must send them out in this session, as they're going to have 4 qualifying session, 2 now, and we're going to do 2 later with the lights on, which is a brand new thing here for the 24-hour series and the Hankook 24 Hours of Dubai. The regulations, well, it's pretty simple. Once the car goes out on track, for both sessions, no refueling, no tyre changes. There's a 5-minute break between the sessions where you change the drivers. And what it is, you end up with the time that is all 4 drivers, so the 2 daytime series, the 2 daytime sessions, the 2 nighttime sessions, all 4 drivers amalgamate the time, and there is your qualifying time. And that makes everybody a qualifier.
It sounds more complicated than it is, actually.
It
but
is.
Ultimately, later on this evening, at about 8 o'clock, then Bruce and Johnny and Joe will be able to tell you who's on pole position. What we for each of the classes, what we will do is we will update you as best we can. The great news is that we have timeservice.nl on our screens here in the booth at Dubai Autodrome. You can get that as well. There's a link via 24hseries.com. You're probably watching the pictures on there, on Facebook at the moment. Technical issues, I'm afraid, stopping us broadcasting on the RSL network at the moment. London working on that even as we speak. We'll keep you updated with that if you're travelling around and maybe don't have the bandwidth for all this pesky video. But we will try and keep you up to date with the average times. We've also got some support race action for you as well. Today, across the networks, we will be looking after the Clios. At least Johnny and Bruce will be looking after the Clios. They've got 2 races this weekend with the little turbocharged 4-door versions of that car, which that very popular series out here, front-wheel drive. And they were a hoot in practice and qualifying earlier on today. But this is qualifying 1 for 2023 for the Hankook 24 Hours of Dubai. Welcome along. Wherever you are joining us around the world, good to have your company on a Friday, of course. We are one day later, Phil,
yes.
This year. Now, we almost got this last year. The UAE, the United Arab Emirates, and Dubai in particular, have actually, throughout the COVID period, have really become a bit of a business hub. They relaxed a lot of the organisational procedures for people to set up companies here, and people in lockdown came in here and operated remotely. That's led to an even quicker expansion of business in this area having to talk to business for the rest of the world. And it's for that reason that our race is now Saturday, Sunday in a roundabout way.
Indeed it is. Dubai is a business, and literally, and it's run like a business. So we're all here because of that. And I'm a local here for the last 18 years. So seeing it move into the more Western time zones with the Friday, Saturday, and moving to Saturday, Sunday, makes it easier for businesses to operate, etc., because we are a hub of trading here, and having all of that work, it works really well. We didn't quite get there last year because all of the transport had already booked and everybody had booked their flights, and the notification came out pretty late, but this year it is the Saturday, Sunday race here for the first time, and Yas is following suit down there with the 6 hour as well, it will be a weekend race as the teams are out on the circuit now. 8 minutes 45 to go in this session. Now this will go down as their first qualifying time, followed by the 3 other qualifying sessions that they will get. And we will find out at the back end of that who is where for tomorrow's start of tomorrow's race. So 11 cars on track at the moment. We haven't seen a couple of the cars, the 199 and the 488. Now, the 488 was involved in a nasty incident yesterday, had a lot of front-end damage, and that's the Dragon Racing car. Leonidas Lucas, Rhea Lucas, Brad Ellis, and Charlie Hollings on that one. We haven't seen that out. I went down there this morning and I was turned away. From the garage, so I'm not sure if they're ready to go again. And the other one is the 199, which is the AC Motorsport, their Audi RS3 LMS DSG. That's Andy Yan, Tommy Q, David Lau, and Sean Thong. In that car. Haven't seen them out on track as yet. Most of the teams are running at least 4 drivers and 5 drivers in this session. Fastest lap so far is 2:10.508. David Holloway in the 438 car. That is the Simpson Motorsport car. He's sharing that with James Kay, Keith Kasuliki, Cameron McLeod and James Kell all in that one. They're currently leading the way from the 121, which is the Wolf Power Racing Audi TCR. They're currently running second in the TCR category in the Middle East Trophy as they competed over in Kuwait. And they've got a very good team of Jamie Pressig is their semi-pro, Ivor Valles, Cal Bergman and Andreas Hoffer, their AM racers, as we keep on counting down the clock. It's 15 minutes. They've got the big tank of fuel on at the moment, and it's all up to the team managers to work it out of how much fuel you're going to put in there, how many laps you want to do.
That is a good point. This session, by the way, you're not allowed any pro drivers in the daytime session, unless your team is all pro.
Yes.
Because obviously you couldn't sit it out.
No.
Grab someone from the paddock?
Yeah.
No, we've got somebody going slowly on the circuit, and it is the 188.
That's the AC Motorsports car.
It is. Slightly different colouring for that car this year. We used to see them in purple and black.
Well, they won the 24-hour last year in class.
Yeah.
So that is a...
Steph Perrin behind the wheel.
Yeah, and...
Great to see Steph back after a nasty accident in the pit lane. He got knocked over in the pit lane at the Barcelona 24 hours a 3 years ago now. Actually, it's probably more than that, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that car has come to a halt. Eagle-eyed, those of you on the... Actually, we're not on the radio at the moment. We'll be on the radio shortly. Our tech team at London working very hard indeed to make sure that you can hear us around the world on RS1 as well. You may have noticed some slight changes to the edges of the track and things that you can see around the track. There has been quite a large, Phil, beautification of this track. And I say that, and that sounds like I'm kind of running it down, and I shouldn't have said it like that. There's been a programme of improvements here. That is more correct, which includes some changes to the runoff areas. You'll notice some dark blue and red stripes around the track. Very high-speed test track, Paul Ricard style.
Indeed.
And they are high grip surfaces. You'll notice a lot more green as well down at turn 1. There's a viewing terrace on driver's right on the inside, which is all beautifully green grass. And also when we look across from where we are in our usual spot, just on the start-finish line, which also has moved, and we'll give you more news about that in a minute, across the all-new solar panels on top of the pit buildings, we see the Dubai Autodrome logo picked out in stone on a beautiful green area, which is now being called the Apex Garden.
Yes, indeed. And a lot of the reason it was done was to minimise the dust, John. That's a really important thing, is to make sure that we have issues here. We are in the desert. But a lot of work's been done around the circuit.
So still no fire in the engine of the Audi RS3 LMS. Now that is one of the new versions of this car. You can tell that by the reverse swan neck mounting on the rear wing on the blue and black number 188. Big contingent of Audi customer racing here, Audi Sport customer racing here. In fact, they've taken over the on-site cafe here and parked up a splendid array of cars, as well as a race transporter there. I think it was excellent coffee, great chat, and fast racing, or something that they said down there the other day. We know those guys pretty well down on in that cafe. It is open year-round, by the way. If you're in Dubai, it's open on a daily basis.
Yes.
Always has motorsport playing on the television.
Sometimes you can hear John's voice.
That was very bizarre, wasn't it? The time that we came a year ago and walked in for the first time to sit down and have a meeting with Phil and one or two other people and a cup of coffee, and there was the IMSA series from Monterey, California, playing on the television with the IMSA radio commentary on. There are absolute motorheads in there, in Motor City, which is also, I noticed, Phil, as we drove in earlier in the week and indeed this morning, a few more shops on the frontage there, and again, looks like there's been more investment here. It looks like money's flowing again in this part of the world.
Well, it is. Post-COVID, obviously everybody struggled during COVID, but the government here had some very smart ideas during COVID, keeping us all safe. And it was one of the first countries to open back up again, mainly because of its massive inoculation schedule that everybody got it. And so it helped us get back onto the world business stage very, very quickly. And then, of course, after COVID, lots of other countries suffered badly, and people moved their businesses here, and which is, we're the sort of trading, we're sort of in the middle of East and West, and so it worked out very, very well for a lot of companies. And as the team has noticed coming back in from Europe and the UK, things are, well, they always are building here, John. It just never stopped since I've been here since 2005. But there was a roundabout in front of us and nothing else.
Yes, exactly.
When I first started working here.
So we're getting down to the last 90 seconds. David Holloway for Simpson Motorsport has the fastest time, 2 minutes 10.5 for that BMW M4 GT4. Marlon Menden for the first of the two Wolf Power Audi RS3s, a 2:11.3. I told you they were closely matched between GT4s and TCRs. Andreas Höfler for Wolf Power Racing, the 121. So that's 4:38 in the pits, 1:17 and 1:21 still out there for Wolf Power Racing. Then Carl Cavers is the second of the BMWs, second of the GT4s for Century, the 4:29. Darren Jorgensen for RHC Jurgensen Strom by Century is third in GT4. Rothko with Dragon, Roald Gotha doing the first run, but still no movement from the Audi RS3 from Stefan Perrin, and so the 199 AC Motorsport and Dragon Racing's 499 Mercedes have not been seen. Second place for the 429 in its class, and that car, Carl Cavers, Century Motorsport, still out as we've 30 seconds to go. Let's check his times at the moment as he's on the long back straight. Doesn't look like he is improving. So let's go down to Joe Bradley in the pit lane with 22 seconds on the clock before the checkered flag comes out on the first 15-minute session.
Well, guys, I've got David Holloway lined up. So far, so good. So he's on the provisional pole. When the flag flies, we'll jump on David. But for now, would you believe that the pole-sitting GT4 car, the 438, that's the Century BMW, it's sharing a pit garage with the AC Motorsport boys, and they've got quite a few tales of woe. So we've got the number 188 Audi out on track for an unknown reason. We're waiting for news on that. But in the dark recess of this garage sits the 199. The front end of that car is completely off, and they've got a brand new motor up there being moved in there to change whatever the problem was with that engine and gearbox unit, which on these front-wheel drive TCR Audi RS3s are all one unit, of course. Has the flag flown yet, boys? Can we?
It has, yes. You
right,
can
David.
speak
Here
to
he is.
Simpson Motorsports, David Holloway. Yeah.
We can talk to him without any fear of influencing this session. David, you guys must be delighted because that's a brand new BMW out the box.
Yeah, exactly. We've just got it here this week, so there's been lots of different things going on, few tweaks and challenges that we had to overcome, which the team's done an amazing job to do. Lots of little setup changes, and today it felt really good in qualifying. Yeah, so it was good. It was the tyres went on in the first lap, and it was a good lap. Yeah.
I mean, might seem a stupid question, but how hard were you trying? Did you treat it like a full-out, all-out qualifying session?
Yeah, I would say yeah. I was giving it everything. In the second lap, the car wouldn't do the same stuff, so the tyre had gone. I probably could have made a bit of time up on the back of the section, in some back of the track in some places, but that was about the best I was going to get out of it, I would say, for me. Yeah.
There's been talk of just how green this track has been, even with all the running in the past couple of days. How was it today when you first went out?
This morning I didn't think it was that great, but we were on very old tyres, so I was struggling a little bit. I've never been here before. It's my first time at the circuit racing. I've been on like 2-hour track day, so I don't have much knowledge of it. I certainly think it's improving. Obviously, try and stay on the GT3 rubber, and it seems to be a bit stickier. But it's a really fun, fast track. But yeah, first time here, so I have no reference point.
Right, got you. Who's in the car next?
Vasily.
Vasily's already in there, isn't he? Jumped straight in when you jumped out, even though you had 5 minutes.
I tried to look after the tyres after the lap, so hopefully he should have half decent rubber to go on.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, David. So far, so good. Fingers crossed.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
Just to remind everybody while you're down here, guys, the next driver has to continue on the first set of tyres. And the reason why the rules or the regulations say no pro drivers to take the car out first is because that would be absolutely optimising the car's run. You've got your best driver on the best set of tyres in their brand new state. So what we're going to see as we go through certainly this second and last segment this afternoon, we've got the final two segments of qualifying. they're coming this evening. So we're nowhere near knowing who's on pole in GT4 yet, but so far the provisional pole is that BMW just pulling away now to start the second segment of this session.
Hello to all of you who are tuning in on RS1, and thank you very much to our hardworking technical team in London for getting us on the air. Enjoying a little bit of historic racing news whilst the first few minutes of the session was going underway. You haven't missed anything because we haven't set any polls, and we won't find that out, as Joe Bradley rightly says, until later on this evening. It is a brand new qualifying situation here at Dubai Autodrome for the first Hankook 24-hour series race of 2022. It is the split qualifying. We've seen that before. What we haven't seen is 4 parts to it, and we certainly haven't seen, Phil, two parts, daytime, and of course we worked this out, didn't we? 13 hours and 16 minutes of darkness here. So more than half the race in darkness and half the qualifying in darkness at the last competitive element of today.
I think it's absolutely brilliant, John.
It's
I think it's great because it really, when we get into the darkness, we'll start the race at 3 p.m. By 5:30 p.m. it's dark here. And people have got time to adjust and whatever. But when you've got to actually put it on the line and go out quick in darkness, and given that only a quarter of the track is floodlit, from turn 2 to when you come into turn 13, you're on your headlights. And when you're trying to put a lap together, and especially when we get into the GT qualifying session, we've got a lot of cars there and a lot of very fast cars, and all of those GT cars are quick. So that's going to be dynamite to watch. I'm really, really looking forward to that. Another great incentive from the Creventic team of just making it better all the time.
At RSL_studio is how you get in touch with us. We've got a slight delay whilst the 188 Stefan Peronese Motorsport Audi is being recovered, as if they didn't have enough work on their hands with the engine change on the 199 car. Joe's down in the pit lane. It would be good to find out what happened to Dragon Racing's Mercedes, the 4. Oh, that was the car that had the crash, wasn't it?
Yes, it was indeed.
So it'd be good to find out how far down the replacement of the left front and bonnet, because that car was not looking as it came out of the factory, and certainly not like the 408
exactly
that is sitting at the end of the pit lane at the moment. So, Bradders, if we can have a little update from the 488, that would be great. I didn't see it disappear. I did see a transporter leaving today, but to be honest,
Dragon used covered transporters.
Well, Dragon could push the car to their place almost from
well,
where
it's
they
just
are.
Across the road. It's next to the cafe, so it is Carl's Cafe. So it's all looking good. Yes, slight delay, about 4 minutes. So 14:09 local time is when we were looking to get the second part of this qualifying underway.
Still to come later on today, we'll have the second part of this TCE qualifying session. That will then be halfway through. Then we'll roll out the GT cars with a phenomenal entry, particularly in the Porsche 992 categories.
It's like having a 992 Cup race here.
It is.
Seriously, for 24 hours.
It is. It is absolutely superb, isn't it? That I'm very much looking forward to. Look at the team names out there. WRT are here with the new BMW for the first time. Of course, it's the debut of Valentino Rossi.
Well, he's a factory driver now.
As a factory driver.
Wow.
Yeah. Just saw him walking out the WRT hospitality on the pit lane there, and he looks very relaxed, raring to go. Had a good chat with Jules Westwood as well as Phil King, who we saw as we were coming back up to the booth. Now, they're both involved with the dual racing.
Yep.
That's the Mutran entered car. Jules has brought over one of his Carrera Cup cars from the UK. He's upgraded it to with the endurance kit and the ABS kit. And the guys are raring to go.
Yeah.
So lots of stories to come in 3 more 15-minute sessions. The second of the TCEs, then the 2 first parts of the GT situation. Then we'll have a bit of a break. Then we've got the first of 2 races this weekend for Clio Cup. Johnny Palmer and Bruce Jones bringing you the commentary for that, including here on RS1. And then we've got an hour's worth of night practice later on this evening, and then the night qualifying. So parts 3 and 4, if you will, Phil,
Yes.
of what we're seeing now.
Indeed, John. It's going to be it's busy out there, but this night qualifying is very much going to be. I think it's going to change the order of how things are. Would have been if we just had our normal 3-part qualifying. It could change the way things get set up.
Joe Bradley, down in the pit lane, where have you wandered up to? I think I saw you with my binoculars. I can't quite see the end of the pit lane, but you were heading towards Dragon.
I am. That's exactly where I am, and it's bad news for the 488 Mercedes. That car's not going to be out. It's been pulled from the entry, so that accident was unrepairable. The sister car we're still left with, that's the 408. That's got the Goethe family, and it's a rough go with Dragon Racing. We know how quick those drivers can be. Stewie Hall, Jordan Groger in the car with, I think it's Ben and Royal and Oliver, I think. So
Correct.
it's the Goethe family with Stewie Hall and Jordan Groger. So that car can't be discounted. It's a shame that Dragon have lost 1 car, though, down to 1 car from the 2 entries. It's a shame.
Royal Goethe took the car out to start the session. So another 15 minutes on the clock. Here we go in the sunshine. Very pleasant weather indeed. Mid-20s Celsius, which is where it's been pretty much all week. Phil thinks it gets a bit chilly once it drops down to around about 21 or 22.
25. Getting older, John.
Just for those of you listening on your way to the racing car show or pottering around in mid-January in Europe, you will have the same look on your face as I do when Phil Hansen says that 25 is chilly. It's been barely dropping down to that overnight sometimes this week.
Yeah,
And we did a bit of rain last weekend here as well.
Yeah, indeed. It's that time of the year. We've had rain in this race. Remember, we had a 7-hour race back in the day.
Phil Keane won that race.
We were chatting to earlier on. So cars back out on track for this 15-minute session. David Holloway in the 438. That's the Simpson Motorsport BMW. Then we got Marcus Menson in the 117. That's the first of the Wolf Powers.
I actually think those are the guys who took the cars out first. They've not clicked over yet.
Yes, we got a. That is not. Yeah, they haven't changed the driver transponder. In qualifying, that could result in a penalty, John. Okay, they are very strict on giving the right names up on the screen, and that is not what we want to see. We'll just wait until.
We'll let them do a lap
And
before we throw them under.
We won't bust them just yet.
That's right. It is just after 2:10 on a Friday afternoon. We are in qualifying for round 2 of the Middle East Trophy Championship for 2022 and 2023. Abu Dhabi next weekend will provide us with our first Middle East Trophy winners. And of course, this also kicks off the 2023 season in some style. A lot more green around the circuit, as we mentioned, and that helping keep some of the famous dust that would blow across the track down a little bit. The track looking in good condition. We had a quick look around it earlier on in the week. Some slight changes to the runoff areas with some high grip strips being putting in there. Watching one of the and an off for the Audi number 117. That is the Wolf Power machine. Again, slightly different colour scheme for Wolf Power this year. They're in blue, white and tangerine. Johnny Palmer will be keeping an eye on that as a good Blackpool supporter. Blackpool Football Club. And
it's a really weird place to stop unless
that's the hairpin at the end of the back straight.
Normally it's to the
Turn
right.
10.
Yeah, it's straight on where you have an issue there.
Has he dropped? Is there fluid behind that car?
I think it's further. That's not quite. That's actually the Dubai Autodrome logo.
Oh, that's what it is.
From the vertical.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely. Let's see if we can get the binos out down there. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Phil. I hadn't realised that was there. So he's just gone straight on, just away from the logo. The red flag has come out. Now, this
Yeah.
is very unusual.
I think it's probably done a gearbox on the down changes and he hasn't been able to get around the corner. It's a weird place to stop down there. Normally you go straight on. Even if you turn slightly, you're still going further down there. That looks like he's pointing towards the fence, totally wrong direction. So that just doesn't look right to me. That he's had a mechanical in the braking zone down there, and he's just taken the car off. A red flag. The clock has stopped at 11:38, so the red flag does stop the clock as the cars will head back into the pit lane.
I feel like a horse racing commentator always when I'm
He's got the
standing here with the binoculars in my hand.
Scratching.
And they're coming down to turn 10. They're over at turn 10. And let's hope not that doesn't happen. Back to the pit lane, of course, under reduced speed for a red flag. Be prepared to stop at any point around the circuit. Now, this is a suspension of the session.
Yes.
There's not much that anybody can do. They have to use the tyres that they went out on in the first 15 minutes. They can't refuel the cars. If you look carefully, you will see that the turn-in to the fuel station, which is out here, is coned off. So there is no entry to that at the moment. Our ever-efficient marshals, and thank you to all of them in advance here for their work this weekend, and a brand new set of rescue vehicles.
Oh, aren't they lovely?
As well this weekend. Let's go down to Joe Bradley, who's got Marcus Menden with him from Wolf Power Racing.
Yeah, the number 117, provisional pole, Marlon, for the first part of this now truncated qualifying session. So far, so good?
Yeah, very good. The car feels good. We are here like last year with the same setup of drivers, and yeah, I think we're looking forward.
Who's in the car now?
It's my dad, actually, Marcus Menden, and yeah, we hope for the best. I think he has a small problem now, but...
Well, we've got a red flag. It's not you guys involved, is it?
Yes.
Oh, it is. It's you guys involved. I'm just being told.
Yeah, I think it's us. We still don't have any information, but yeah.
Right. So has he been able to radio anything? He's just stopped coming out of a corner, I'm being told.
It looks like a flat spot from the media we see, but we don't know yet.
Okay. So we'll wait for that car coming in. So I was about to say, so far so good. So we wait and see what the problem is. Sorry to say that.
The first one was good, but now we have to keep up the pace, but we'll see now how it works. We hope we can continue the qualifying and put the car on P1.
Okay, thanks, Marlon. I'll wait and see what further we have to report on that. I can tell you guys that the 188, the RS3 Audi of Stefan Perrin, has come back into the pit lane. However, on the back of a truck, never a good picture.
Oh, okay.
And the 117 is just about to be put on the back of a truck too. They
Yes.
couldn't tow it, so it's obviously got a drivetrain issue.
Yeah, the Rescue 2 pickup truck down there. A couple of 4x4s down there. Well, that looks like a Ford to me, the white one. I'm not sure what the dark grey one is because I can't see the front of it.
They're all the same model, John, because they've got the same lights on them.
Oh, yes, you're right. No, that's not the same as that. I'm pretty
Oh, it's
certain.
upside down one, yes.
Yeah,
I was looking at the front end.
I've got no clue what the dark grey one is, but they're new. We had Fords here for a very, very long time.
I think they actually had to retire them because they'd done so many laps.
so many mileage. Yeah.
Well,
Well, it's like the Nürburgring for many, many years. They had old six-cylinder Jeep Cherokees, the old square cars, and they were fantastic, and they did great service. And eventually they did have to go, and there's a whole lot of Audis now. Once again, thank you to the marshals, doing a great job, making sure they're not causing any damage as that car is recovered. The white one is definitely a Ford Ranger.
Yeah.
So that one is down at turn 10. If you're watching it for the first time, you'll see quite a bit of these pickup trucks over the weekend. The design here of the track allows live snatch to be enacted and the cars to be brought back around the circuit either under a code 60 or even local yellows. There's a couple of cut-throughs that can be used here over the hill
Public,
circuit,
yeah.
over the mountain, and back into the pit lane at what is effectively between turn 15 and 16, but there's a cut through between the middle of the back straight and turn 14. There's a cut through between turn 2 and the back straight. And in fact, actually, you can pop out there pretty much to turn 14 as well, taking out, what, 3/4 of the track there, maybe a couple of, maybe half at least. That does not look good, though, for the number 117. This is the car that sits on pole position in its class after the first 15-minute qualifying session. That is, again, one of the Evo cars with the reverse swan neck. The other good point about this circuit is there are plenty of ways to get off the track quickly, which is where that Hino rollback is going now. And they will get out of harm's way, led by the Ford Ranger, and they can come back round. They'll actually come out just by the guard post on the way into the track, and then down underneath the track through the drive-through tunnel, and they'll pop out past the cafe and get access into the back of the pit. So that car will be back fairly quickly. Will it be back, and will it be a problem that can be fixed quick enough to get the car back out? Now, if he's flat spotted a set of tyres and he can't go again on those tyres, well, he can't put new tyres on. So that would be this session gone. There are a new set of Hankook tyres available for qualifying 3 and 4, which will be later on this evening. So a very different look to qualifying. If you are just joining us on RS1 around the world, part of the Radio Show Limited network of audio and visual channels, we've got streaming video there as well on the FIA International Endurance page. Also, of course, at 24hseries.com. Click on the timing link there as well. And on Facebook. All live, all free, no blocks, no interruptions. The only side-by-side we have here is on the track. No subscriptions required either, as we bring you the first major international endurance race of 2023. Endurance racing, we've got it covered for you here from Dubai. Did mention that the start line has moved a little bit, and this is mainly for the support races, the single-seater support races. I think there's 40 of the F4s here, and in order to get 20 rows of grids as the green light has come back on again, without them having to stretch back round through turn 16, the start line has been moved a little bit further down the straight. Now, I'm just looking. Our green flag is being flown at the standard start line, and therefore the standard finish line.
That one's only being used for standing start events, which is F4, Formula Regional, and Clio Cup.
But yeah.
So that's where we are with that one, because there's a separate. They've put new timing loops in the circuit as well to cater for that, which, yes, with F4, half the grid would have been around turn 16, which is you'd have to change down before you actually got onto the start-finish straight to get around the corner. Not ideal. As the car's back out on track, 10 minutes 43 to go. So anybody who's going to have to cycle these tyres up again, remember they've already had one session. We've lost the 488 out there, the Dragon Motorsport car, and just then the 117 TCR, and Dragon was in the GT4 category. They've only got one car left running in that category, which is Rofco with Drago Racing, Road Goth, Oliver Goth, Benjamin Goth, and Stewie Hall in that one. And we've just got a notification about the start of GTQ1. We're going to have a slight delay for that because of the stoppage and the clock stoppage as we are heading up the hill to turn 12. Brett Strom at the wheel of the RHE. Jorgensen Strom by Century Motorsport in the 450 car, the BMW. That is a BMW M4 GT4. And resplendent in its white livery, down to turn 13 and rolling it through 14 at the moment. And just seeing where he's sitting on the lead, 5th in the moment, 3rd in class in GT4. Best hasn't put a lap in as yet, and this is the problem that we're facing. We've got 9 minutes to go, John, and nobody's got a lap in so far because of that red flag. They were all on those flyers when the red flag came out, which means they've got to really be careful with these tyres if they're going to make this work. And when you've got people of the calibre of Stuart Hall behind there, he knows how to do that. Do the other people out there know how to get their tyres back and get that competitive lap time in, which we would hope would be quicker than the quali 1 time that has already been set, and as the cars are now through, and we have them circulating at the moment. 8 cars out on a track, another one just coming out, and we'll wait to see now. I've got 117 leaving the pit lane, so that may be okay. I've got him on an outlap at the moment.
I agree.
So I think it was just a Control-Alt-Delete, and they've got him back. Wow.
Well, that's a massive story.
Oh, it is.
Doesn't have to do, doesn't have to do a lot. Doesn't have to set the world alight. It's used tyres. Remember, they will be the same tyres that were on the car for the first part of the session. Still the 438 Simpson Motorsport, looking. Nobody's got the fast lap in his, as Phil said.
Yeah.
And it is Vasily Vladikin who is behind the wheel of that car. That's one of the new BMWs. There's a few of them here. Very a particularly aggressive looking machine, aren't they, for a GT4? And the GT3s are here this weekend in the hands of WRT, among others. WRT starting a new relationship, for so long been associated with Audi Sport Custom Racing, but not with the withdrawal of Audi from the GTP and LMDH ranks, left them without a prototype program. They've been co-opted into BMW, and we'll see them not this year but next year in the FIA World Endurance Championship. What a 38 car entry announced for those guys earlier in the week as well.
Well, Stuart Hall, 209.152. Thank you, Mr. Hall.
Oh, yes. Straight.
He knows what he's doing.
And Brett Strom, 209.152.
Wow.
Now that is a good time from Brett. Very good time from Brett.
Let's ask Marcus Mendon what happened. Jump down.
Go, Bradley.
Yeah, I've got Marcus Mendon walking towards me, so I'm going to kind of doorstep him. The car's been brought into pit lane, but for some reason it's been held at the pit entry and not being allowed. They're in the first pit garage. Marcus, what was the problem with the car there?
Start braking on the rear back straight, and immediately the right brake disc explode.
Wow.
Right, well, at least we've got a reason.
Yeah. The brakes. I start braking, and immediately the brake disc explode. So no more braking, and the handbrake saved my car.
So have you recovered from the trauma? I bet that was a block.
No, it's not a big thing, but it's a shame, no? My son starts the qualifying very well. Yeah.
It's character building.
It's a long race, don't worry.
Are the car's gonna be ready for night practice and then further qualifying?
So I think so. We have a lot of parts with us, and we have the best team, and so I'm sure it will work.
Okay, hopefully all the bad luck is over now.
Not a great way to start 2023, but in fact, so we won't see that car out.
No, because it says on its outlap, because it hadn't crossed the timing line, it's still registering on its outlap.
It hasn't come back
and
in.
it hasn't come back in across the timing
Correct.
stripes, so we were under the mistaken thing because it just popped up on the screen. But the time's starting to come in now for the second quality session. Just over 5 minutes to gaining. Brett Strom leading the way from Vasily Vladkin and Stuart Hall, coming back around just to complete another lap in the 408 car. And they're setting the time at the moment. And wow, that is a dynamite quick lap for Brett Strom. Very, very,
perfect,
very quick.
Perfect conditions today. We can see the Burj Al Arab out in the distance. Can't see the big Burj though.
It's a bit hazy.
Just a little bit hazy on the coast. Hello to Jesse Young, tuned in. Says good evening. Most expensive exciting January for sports car racing for years. Rolex 24 in 2 weeks. and the Bathurst the week after that. Well, we'll be at the Raw next weekend for some exclusive and extended coverage. The new VP Racing category also qualifying for the 61st running of the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. And then, of course, the most live coverage of the Rolex 24 the following weekend. And then it is the Bathurst 12 Hours, the first weekend in February. And various members of the team spread between that. 5 members of the team here this weekend will be covering Rolex, and then Shea and I on the long Trans-Pacific to go and do Bathurst as well.
I'm a little upset.
As the only Aussie on the team. Yeah.
And I don't get to go to Aussie. Anyway.
I thought that, when I was asking about that, I thought there was still something that meant you can't go back home. Is that injunction being taken away now?
Yes, it has been taken away. Thank you very much.
I'm only kidding.
It didn't come from Crowsey either.
I'm only kidding. Of course I am. But yes, you're absolutely right, Jesse. Huge month of sports car racing and so many stories to talk about right the way through all of these grids, starting off with this Dubai Hankook 24 Hours. Hello to Sarah Rigby, tuned in back in Crewe, the home of Bentley, of course, in the northwest of England. Jay Mooney Racing getting very excited as well. With he's following Alex Sedgwick in the Porsche GT3. He's got that on the laptop this Friday. For him, Friday morning in the UK. So what time is it in the UK? 10:30 in the morning, just coming up to 2:30 here in the afternoon. Just over 2 minutes to go. A little bit of change at the top of the standings. This is the second of 4 15-minute qualifying sessions by 4 different drivers for each of the cars. GT4 in with the TCE category, and Simpson Motorsport, Vasily Vladikin with a best of a 2:11.1. He did a 2:11.2 last time. Their average then a 2:10.8 against a 2:11.2 for Brett Strom and his RHC Jurgensen Strom team. Then Stuart Hall, his best a 2:09.154. Brett Strom, though, still the quickest in this session on used tyres, ahead of Stewie Hall. You've got to be going well to be ahead of Stewie Hall in any session. So Brett is doing a cracking job there. So 2:11.2 for the second place car, 2:11.3 for the third, 2:11.4 for the fourth, and they're all GT4 cars, and that's Michael Johnson for Century Motorsports, number 429. His best at 2:11.004 last time around. In TCE, it's a TCR car that leads. Ivaz Valles for Wolf Power Racing in the 121. Benito Tagel for Team Zorg Rennsport in the Porsche. Now that's a TCX car. That's one of the Porsche Caymans. He's in second, but of course leads TCX. And then in third, and second in TCR, is Marc Girard. Really, really pleased to see the French 700-mile team back. They've got a Volkswagen Golf. Nice to see the Golf back as well in TCR. We haven't had one for a little while. A minute to go. And still laps being turned here, including by the second place car at the moment, Phil.
Yeah, indeed, the 450. And we're talking about the average time here at the moment. The first section of qualifying, they did a 2:13.380. And then Brett has done that 2:09.152, giving a combined of 2:11. The difference is with the 4:38, their first qualifying time was in the 2:10s. And Vasily's in the 2:11s at the moment, which gives them a better average time overall. And that's why everybody can sort of do that as Brett Strom brings the 450 back into the pit lane. Now, people being very smart, they may have light fueled and said we're going to do 4 laps or 5 laps just to get some weight out of the car and try and do it. Very much a strategy game having 4 qualifying sessions, and you've got to put them together as pairs and work out how much fuel you're going to put in there. If we do have a red like we have had, we've got to do another out lap. We can't refuel during that time, so it does change the strategy.
That actually is a very, very good point.
I try and make at least one good point during
it's very
the
good.
36 hours.
So checkered flag is out. There goes the 700 miles car as they go through. Marc Girard taking the checkered flag. Only one to have seen the checkered flag so far. Although I think Brett Strom came into the pit lane in the 50.
Yeah, Michael Johnson came in as well in the 429.
Vasily Vladikin for Simpson is still out there, but going slowly, so I don't think he is going to improve. No, his sector 1 time. Yeah, his sector 1 time is 7-8 seconds away. The flat grey and bright green number 988 is one of the TCX cars. Is there just one TCX car now? Yes,
there is only one TCX car at the moment.
That is the 227.
That's it. That is a Porsche out there. That's a 992 car.
I thought that was a Cayman. My apologies.
That's actually a 992 car.
It was meant to be a Cayman GT4 CS in the TCX, but that is absolutely a 992 Cup car.
Indeed, and that is the 988.
That's an MRS badged car.
Yeah, that's the MRS GT Racing car.
I don't think they're meant to be out this session. I wonder if that is a hardship lap.
It could well be, I don't know.
I know that MRS were having problems getting their cars to the track.
Yes, yes. Then remember, we had that conversation yesterday in regards to that.
Yes.
So maybe they've just gone out to make sure everything's pointing in the right direction. And then come back into the pits before they go into qualifying. Remember, they haven't done any practice sessions or had minimal practice sessions where the regulations state that you must have done at least 2 laps. Every driver must have done at least 2 laps daytime and nighttime.
The 988 car is the Lithuanian, Estonian and Swedish driven car, and Kaila Lejonkrans is by far the easiest name to pronounce there. I suppose Antti Ramo is not too bad. The 2 Lithuanians, first names Arunas and Sigitas. We might just use their first names if things get exciting.
I think we will. And we'll get the guys in the pit lane to go and see if their nicknames are easier to work with. 438 we had stopped out on track there. Simpson Motorsport car. They had
I think that car's run out of fuel.
I think you're 100% correct, because
he was very slow across the line to start his last lap.
He's just done the uphill run to the old management building, and he's just coughed downhill, and he's about. Oh dear.
Let's go down to Joe Bradley in the pit lane. Brett Strom was quickest of the second drivers in qualifying 2 for TCR and TCE. That's one of the GT4 cars, of course. That car sits second at the moment on the average standings. He's with Joe Bradley.
So quickest in that segment of qualifying for you, Brett. You must be pleased with that, being the fastest GT4 driver out there.
Yeah, I'm actually not, because I totally blew my good lap. I had a little bit more in it, and our car we're running what's called the black stick, so the most power. The car has a ton of power, and this is a pretty low grip surface, so I got a little excited coming out of a hairpin and just totally spun the tires, lost 3/10 on my good lap. So yeah, I mean, the car we've been working, we had a lot of challenges yesterday, mechanical stuff and setup issues, so car's getting there. It's, we need to be good for the race, so that's what practice is for. So yeah.
So you knew that immediately you felt the rear tires spin up. You knew you'd lost time.
Oh yeah. It was a moment, because the car is through a kind of I think it's turn 14 or something. It's bumpy on the exit, and I was like, I knew I was up on the lap, and I was like, yeah, just a little more. And when it spins up there, it's like, because it's turbo, it's just a lot of torque all at once, and you can't take it back.
You may be happy to hear, though, even with that wheel spin, you were still the fastest driver in that second segment. On aggregate, you guys are second, yes. You personally were quickest there.
Okay, cool. Well, that's exciting. So yeah.
And there's time to come.
Yeah. And we have Nathan and Huron Bleekemolen in the next qualifying, so I expect them to go fast. So yeah, I think we have the older generation M4, so. I don't know. This is the first race of the new one, so we're gonna see how that levels out. We decided to run the old M4 for this one because this race is rather hard on cars. So,
when do you start focusing on the race? I know qualifying's important, but it ceases to be important by maybe Sunday morning.
Yeah, totally. I mean, qualifying doesn't matter for this at all. And the GT4 cars were like at the back of the GT field no matter what. So it was like we're either second from the last row or last row. Yeah, I mean, we were using that session definitely to still sort out some of the handling. I did a couple extra laps after I ran my fast lap just because we've made so many setup changes trying to chase rear grip. So I did a few more laps than needed. just to try and see how the car was going to run on a little bit longer time. So yeah, qualifying for us was still practice effectively. So yeah, we're figuring it out.
That's exactly what I wanted to find out. And also, tonight's qualifying, brand new set of tires for your 2 drivers.
Yeah, because we're going to use these tires for night practice. So, and then we'll save those ones for probably a short stint in the race, the ones that they're going to qualify on. So, yeah, they get new ones, so we'll see how quick they can go at night. It'll be fun.
A little bit excessive wear in the rear, I believe. I'm kidding. A wheel spin.
Yeah, no, it is, and we have traction control, so that does, and we run that in the race, and that actually really improves tire wear. But in qualifying, you're like, let's get it. So yeah.
So thanks, man.
Thank you.
Green flag is in the air, and the timing screen is filling up very rapidly, mainly with Porsches.
Exactly. 42 cars are expected to take to the grid, to the track for this. This is all the GT3 Pro-Am, GT3 AM 992 and 992 AM classes, and GTX as well in there. So a huge field. I see Tom Boonen out there, 6-time stage winner of the Tour de France, and he's here driving a GT
Belgium.
car. Oh, yeah.
Legend.
Absolute legend.
Absolute legend. Has taken part in Creventic racing before. I think the first time we saw him was in a 24 hours at Barcelona, if memory serves.
Yes.
Go through a few drivers. Remember, no pro drivers allowed in this session unless you are a team of full pro drivers. Michael Doppelmayer's out for Phoenix Racing in the number 1 car. Roman Iannetta for Visium in the Ferrari. BMW, one of the new team WRTs. Mohammed Saad Fahad. Now, that's the good-looking team in that number 7 car. Stephen Grove here for Grove Racing, and Earl Bamber making his debut in
team
24-hour Creventic racing with that team.
They've got Earl Bamber in there from V8 Supercars and
world champion, by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've got V8 Supercars, Anton Di Pasquale in there, right? You've got Brendan Grove and Stephen Grove as well. They have got some serious pedigree in the 12 hours, and you've got world champions in there. That's a good team. That's a quality team.
They'll be taking part. They're doing. We're trying to work out who's doing. What are we calling it? Dubai. Dubai, which is Dubai, Daytona Bathurst,
copyright shade.
Well done, Shea Adam, for that, and happy birthday to her for Wednesday. The Grove team will be doing Bathurst as well. There are a number of drivers, but I don't think teams that are doing Dubai and Daytona. That's a little bit too difficult. And I think we found at least one, and it was it's Maxine. Hello.
I like that sound.
Nick Damon has joined us in the pit lane, by the way. Happy New Year, Nick.
Happy New Year, John. Yes, I'm taking over from the glorious Joe Bradley. Incredibly exciting. I've forgotten how exciting this whole thing is when there were 44 very high-powered GT3 and 992 cars out on the apron. Interestingly, I think they've thought about traffic because there's been a few of them been holding back. There's actually several of the Porsches sitting, and I can't tell that from... I haven't got the encyclopedic visual Porsche knowledge you have, John, so I can't at a distance tell a 992 from the GT3, but there's lots of Porsches on the apron. We are outside the WRT pit, which for some reason appears busier than you would normally expect. There's lots of people in the... and I don't know why. In the garage. Well, of course I do. It's because it's the team of which Valentino Rossi will be driving. He's not in the car now in the 46 machine. The reason I know that is because he's loping around in that loping style he has at the back. So it's Tim Whale, who is the official AM driver, doing this first session on the new tyres. Very strong team, of course, with Valet, including Maxime Martin, Sean Galale and Max Hess. Now, Max Hess is a former BMW junior who's been promoted to the BMW senior team, but I know him as a top-line RC racer. And last time I spoke to him was at the RCGP in Italy, so we're almost mates, which is great.
You can be watching and listening on radio-show.co.uk. We've got the embedded video there. Well done to Tim Gray and the team in London for working through the technicals there. 24hseries.com as well, and on Facebook. So we've got you covered. No subscriptions, no interruptions, and no blocks around the world either. Interesting car out going past underneath our feet now and down towards the first corner. Tricky downhill braking area, braking zone there for the number 76. You'll not miss this one in the pit lane. Very, very bright indeed for the 76 Racing, and that's the number 7, then T, then SIX, McLaren 720 SGD3. Now, I like McLarens, and I normally think I can pick a McLaren out at 1,000 yards. There is something about that paint scheme, to me, Phil, that does something very weird to the shape of that car.
It looks like a 4 out of 8 from the side when you look at it from a distance.
Yeah,
it has because of the way that the 76 the branding is done on the side of it. It just gives it a different, and it's really highlighted that roof line with that white stripe down the side.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
You will not be surprised to know that the number 46 WRT BMW, this is one of the new GT3 BMW M4s. Tim Wheel behind the wheel of that car, British driver, excuse me. That has a reasonable amount of bright Valentino Rossi highlighter yellow on it, going down the back straight right now.
Valentino had a guest in the pit yesterday. Lando Norris was here yesterday, and he was down. I was wandering past their pit and saw him down there. Comes out this part of the world and has a bit of fun out in the desert with a young Edward Jones, who is racing in IMSA this year as well. Moved on from Jota last year in the LMP2 category.
Interesting entry from Heart of Racing in not an Aston Martin, but indeed a AMG GT3, and talking with the guys from Heart of Racing, who we're very used to seeing in IMSA, of course, and indeed we'll be talking about them next week at the Raw and the week after at the Rolex 24. They're not ruling out doing some more with the Mercedes AMG. Ian James among the team here. Also the 777. 7 is a very auspicious number in these parts of the world. Seba.
Yes, His Highness has that as his racing number on his endurance horses.
Oh, does he?
Indeed he does.
So that 777 is the Almanar Racing by HRT.
That's got our last year and the year before winner in the Axel Jeffries is in that car. He's won here in the GT3 category for both last 2 races in a row. So that's got some quality in there as well. Lucas Stoltz, Fabian Schiller also in that car, and Martin Conrad. Unfortunately, Al Faisal Al Zabar is not well, and he's the only Omani based in this Oman-based team, and unfortunately he had to withdraw, and he has to be seriously ill because I know him well, and he would, if there was a chance, he would have been racing.
Ian James, Gray Newell, Roman De Angelis and Ross Gunn in the Heart of Racing. And I will call that an Aston at some stage. Sarah Rigby will understand why. It's running 27 as well.
Yeah.
And it's in the sort of Arctic Convoy blue and light blue camo colours as well. It is not an Aston Martin. It is an AMG GT3.
Currently leading the way as well.
That surprises me not at all with Ian James behind the wheel. Ian's been racing for a very long time. I'll have to check to see if he's raced here before. I know that we had one of his teammates last year because I was talking to him in the pit lane, but I don't think Ian was here.
No, I didn't pull it up on his bio. I've got his IMSA GTD stuff that he ran there in the Pirelli GT4 America Sprint and the various championships he's done in the ALMS American Le Mans Series, but I hadn't seen his name down on the 24-hour series.
If I've forgotten, I apologise. At RSL_studio, Collective Wisdom can come in here for that. Ian, expat Brit, of course, spends most of his time racing in the United States. And as I say, Heart of Racing. Story behind Heart of Racing is a cracking one. They have, over the past decade or so, raised something over $7 million for the Seattle Children's Cardiac Hospital. Oh! Big moment down at the braking for turn 10 for the Milwaukee 714. More Al Razoon machine, more than Razoon racing machine. Now this is the KTM, and it looks to me as if the clamshell has popped open on Christopher Rosenberger on the Razoon More Than Racing crossbow.
Now this is the car we saw have a complete engine rebuild at the Kuwait 12 hour.
Under 4 hours for an
Under
engine
4
and
hours
gearbox
with
change.
everything out of that car. And yes, definitely, the clamshell has come loose on that one. We
You
saw
have
it in
to
the
bet.
braking zone there. Yeah, he'll have to box that one because it's you can just see the lines there, and he has backed off.
I wonder if that does anything to the structural rigidity of the car. I know there's a big cage underneath that, but that's a big piece of carbon driving. Now,
He
has
might
come
have
in
put
the
his
mix?
arm up. No, there's still a gap there. I
No,
can see. Yeah,
particularly when he brakes.
Yeah, most definitely. It's coming forward, as it does when it comes up and it tilts forward. And
He hasn't come in to the
no,
pit lane.
he hasn't. Maybe he hasn't noticed because he's very busy. If he'd been inside that cockpit when we had a lot of inside show, it's like a fighter aircraft inside there because you're sitting in the centre of the. It's a very strange position to be. But yes, that is definitely loose. Hopefully, the team are watching on the live feed here.
I suspect that is. I don't think that's going to pop right up, Phil, because I think it's on the first click.
Yes.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But they'll have to keep an eye on that. We did have a Porsche in Kuwait with something I've never seen before, with the front cover, which of course is the luggage compartment cover on a 991. We thought it had popped open, it hadn't. It actually bent up, and a problem for the Porsche 990 out on the circuit at the moment.
MRS by GT Racing Porsche.
Oh well, that's the other car. So we've seen both of those cars then, and we thought that they might have had some problems. The hazard flashes are going. That is a
Peter Petrovic at the wheel of that one.
it's at the long hairpin at turn 9, 8 and 9 actually.
He's going. He's got it going. He's got it going, and we're rolling again. So those local yellows have been withdrawn.
Now that is listed as a 992 Cup car, and I think that was a 992 Cup car by the rear spoiler.
Yeah.
As
well, you can tell. We can't. Okay.
Nick Damon was bigging me up a little bit there. I have to live up to Nick's confidence that I can tell the difference between the GT3 cars. We don't have any 992 GT3Rs here. Actually, I'm not even sure they are going to be called GT3Rs. That's something that we've yet to have confirmed by Weissach, by Porsche Motorsport. But the GT3 class cars are being delivered right now to teams around the world. Obviously, the IMSA team's getting preference because they're out with them next week at Daytona. And that's so this weekend we are seeing a mixture of 992 Cup class cars, the Carrera Cup and Super Cup cars, like the number 977, going through turn 10 at the hairpin. Now that's the white and shades of gold car with its hazard flashes on. And the GT3s have the more traditional mounted rear wing. That's probably the easiest way to spot them. There's some subtle differences in the bodywork and the aero. But if you look at the Cup cars, they've got a swan neck rear mounted wing. The GT3 versions, so the GT3Rs, they've got the more traditional pylon undermounts on those cars.
There's one car not taking to the track at the 930, which is the QMMF by HRT Sahel Qatar.
It had a bump earlier on, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It came back in on the back of a truck. So, and from the practice session earlier on this morning, be interesting to see if Nick can find out what is going on with that one down in the pit lane. That is the 930. And 10 seconds before the checkered flag comes out on this qualifying session. Tom Boonen on screen. 48 is the car number and 19th in class at the moment.
dark grey and bright
Stunning looking car.
green.
Oh,
with
like
a
that.
sort of swoosh across from left front to right rear. The multicoloured Veely EB Motors car, the sort of splash multicoloured car. Checkered flag is out, as Phil predicted. Ian James still has the fastest time, 2 minutes 0.514. 2 minutes exactly 0.514. He's got about a tenth then on Alexandra Malachin for Pure Racing in the Porsche. So Mercedes, Porsche, because Martin Conrad is next up by for the Almanar Racing by HRT. That's the Haupt Racing team. Great record here, HRT.
Wow.
Jesse van Hoyk for Team GP Elite. Now that number 32 car, the bright orange car, we haven't had a good look at that. It is one of two bright orange Porsches, 1992 Cup car for the Red Camel Jordan.nl and the Team GP Elite. Nick Damon picked that as, I mean, how a bright orange car can be his dark horse, I'm not sure. But they were right in the mix, Phil, were they not? A couple of months ago down in Kuwait, until they had a very odd and unusual for Porsche and still unspecified driveline problem when they were leading the race.
It wasn't very long to go towards the end of that race as well.
It was into the last hour.
It was indeed, and we were really surprised when it handed the lead to the overall lead to CP Racing, who are out on track at the moment as well in the 43 car. But a very unusual stoppage for them, and as you said, we don't know what part of the driveline didn't play games, and it wasn't released. And there you can see the cockpit view from in that KTM, and it's a bit spaceship. It seriously is.
Checkered flag is out. Let me take you through some of the class leaders. The top 19 are GT3s of some description. It is a Pro-Am car that's top of the shop. No reason why it shouldn't be. Slight difference in fuel and BOPs. We've got a piece of bodywork out on the circuit, which looks like, I think that's the 977 car. I think that's from the 977 that had the spin earlier on, the Porsche. I could be wrong. That's just to the end of the lap, coming out turn 16. So the best of... Oh, now that's interesting. That's very interesting, because Ian James's time has been taken away, and he's dropped down to 9th position.
We had 4 cars who had their laps disallowed during that session. The 85, the 4, the 932, the 911 all got time penalties, laps discounted for track limits.
27?
I'm just looking at that. There might be something else. I don't see the 27 there at all.
Well, the number 911 is now sitting on the top. That's Alexandra Malachin for Pure Racing, and that's the best of the GT3. He's the best of the Pro-Ams now. Roman Iannetta for Visium in the Ferrari in 5th position. The best of the AMs, still Shane Lewis. 10th anniversary of Shane coming to this race. CP Racing, the number 85. Championship of the Continents winners last year. 2 race wins on the season, one at Portimao and one at Kuwait. What a season, breakthrough season. I nominated them as my team of the year last year in our Midweek Motorsport Show of the Year, and the listeners voted them into the winning spot for that. Really good year for the two Charleses, along with Shane and Joe Foster, of course.
Currently leading the way
in
the Middle East Trophy.
Of course, with that win in Kuwait.
And they only have to do 2 races to be classified for the trophy, and I don't see them on the entry list at Abu Dhabi.
Talked to Charles Aspenlaub about that, and I don't think they're going to go to Abu Dhabi.
We found the entry list yesterday, and they weren't on it, but if they can still win it.
They could still win it without going.
Exactly.
Yeah, if they get a good result here. In the 992 class, it is an AM car that heads the field. Antti Ramo in that MRS GT car that is filled with Nordic, Lithuanian and Estonian drivers is the best of that class. Ahead of the Red Camel Jordan.nl car, which heads the 992 category. And In GTX, it is the KTM Crossbow ahead of the 701 Vortex in second place. So that's the class leaders there in GT. Remember, 2 separate races going on, classes within the races. So we've had the TC Endurance. This is now GT. And this is the second of 4 qualifying sessions. The third and fourth qualifying sessions for all of the cars in the 24 Hours series tonight and the Hankook 24 Hours of Dubai will be in the darkness tonight, and it'll be Johnny and Bruce who will take you through those after we've had the nighttime practice session. So this the final daytime qualifying session, being led out by the number 1 Audi, and that's Pierre Caffer for Phoenix Racing in that car. Michael Doppelmayr did the first lap, the first timed session. Pierre Caffer on slightly used tyres in that Phoenix in the dark grey, and another car with dark grey and bright yellow highlighters on it. And right in behind the 909 is the Red Camel Jordan Porsche Cup car.
That's currently leading the Middle East Trophy in the 992 category with a
Yes.
loose bonnet, and again we're seeing that happen on that one. It's I remember looking at that in Kuwait. The same thing. It was just
Yes.
flapping up and down that front end.
Okay, I've got the eventually.
Let's go down to Nick Damon, who is sashaying in the way that only Nick can.
Well,
Are you heel leading or tool leading here?
well, it's very much a heel lead, I'm afraid. Yes, this is interesting because obviously I was way up there waiting for Ian James, the heart of racing, and of course he had his times disallowed, so I had to sashay down, as you say, to the 911 pit, and that is, of course, Alexander Malakin. Is that right? Alexander, congratulations. Great first run.
Yeah, thank you. I love this circuit. It's one of my favorite circuit. And Herbert Motorsport, thank you. His car is a mega monthly racing, best guys. So I just did my job because I got a good car. This is my circuit. I love it.
You're in a garage with a number of other similar Porsches. Are you all sharing information?
Yeah, we share it. We share it. If you work together, sometimes it's your competitors. But if you share data, you push each other, and this is win, 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 win. This is best way, I think. In a race, we will be fighting more hard, of course, but main goal is to get top position, and better to do it together.
So you've polled, or you've been fast in this first session. How do you feel your 3 teammates will do in their sessions this afternoon and this evening?
I have mega teammates. We have pure racing style, you know, and every my teammate is a wild. I mean, this is good word, yeah, like pure racers. And yep, I like work with them. Thank you, Sven Müller, this famous driver. He helped me a lot. Harry is my friend, yeah, and Joel. We drove in a GTVC together in the different cars again, but in the same team, and help each other. Mega team.
Mega indeed. Thanks, Alexander.
Thank you.
That interview brought to you by the word mega.
Indeed.
He's excited, Nick, isn't he? He's really excited there about that. I think he's had a good time, don't you?
It's quite funny, actually, because he came...
Sorry, Nick, say again?
He's chuffed a bit. It's quite funny, because he came over and I said, are you Alexander? Because he's not got his name on his overalls. And he said, my English, very slow English. I went, okay, fine. So I feed the first question, and voomp, he's gone. It was mega.
Mega.
Thanks, Nick. Nick Damon down in the pit lane. We're live from Dubai Autodrome. Beautiful Friday afternoon, just after 3 o'clock. Temperature in the mid-20s.
Just warming
Celsius here. Just warming up, says
Now,
Phil.
Alex has got it. Why he's so passionate about this circuit, he came 8th in the Porsche Cup Middle East. He's got a lot of laps around here in a Porsche, okay? He's a quick, very quick driver, and if you know the calibre of the drivers in the Porsche Cup Middle East, they are very, very quick indeed. So that was an impressive time by him, but he does have a lot of laps around here.
If you're following along on Twitter, at RSL_studio, at Specutainment, of course, our midweek motorsport account I'll just actually... At RSL_studio, I'll just retweet the link to the ISOD onboards for you. Our colleagues at all 221 working again their fingers to the bone to get us on the air today. Thank you, everybody. Working against circumstances, but up spot on time and everything working perfectly, including a plethora of cameras. I think in total we have 11 onboard cameras this weekend. We'll have the drone up as well at various stages over the weekend. The drone that can do about 120 miles an hour. MRS sitting at the side of the track, that's the white car, so that I think is the 9. Well, they're 9. I think that's the 989 car, the white one, and that's on the outside of turn 1.
Yes.
Turn. Oh, it's moving. It has fire.
That's turn 16.
Oh, geez, the final corner.
Turn
Phil,
16.
you're absolutely right. It was the 989, no? Andrei Solotskotsev. Andrei has, well, whether it was a turn it off and turn it on or an all three-fingered salute, Control Alt Delete, I'm not sure, but well done.
Yeah, he raced here last year in the 992 Pro class as well, so he's got some experience around there. Maybe just looping it around on the used tyres. 8:40 to go in this session, and Elliot Skier at the top in car number 92 at this stage.
Andrei Solotskotsev, I got it better the first time. KGZ, is that Kazakhstan?
Kazakhstan, yes.
Yes, I thought it was, yeah.
Yes. We have a few Kazakh drivers in the region. Obviously, it's not too far from here. It's about a 3-hour flight. So they can come over and race on the weekends. From Almaty International Airport.
Maxime Soulet goes to the top for Haas RT in the Audi R8. This is the number 21 car. And with a 2 minutes 0.109, I think it's Maxime Soulet who's doing all three. So
yes,
that's
because I'm looking at it.
Day
Well,
bar.
He's won bar in the Bentley twice.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, he may well be doing all three.
I can hear Nick Damon mumbling in the background. Nick, what do you have for us?
I have what you asked for, which is a 9:30 update for the QMMF car, which is the Qatar Motorsport and Motorcycle Federation. It's quite a busy pits here. Hopefully, if you can see, if you've got the cameras, you'll be able to see if you're on the television screen on the YouTube, that the 9:30 that was crashed in the last practice is still very much in pieces at the back here. It's heavy frontal damage. It's looking like quite a long job. Well, they seem to decide to take a shortcut, because if Seb turns to his right, they appear to have an absolutely spare blue Porsche. This is the Carrera Cup DE car, so it's a Carrera Cup 992 spec. There's a man in there. There's a lot of things they've got to do with the ABS, the radio, the drink system, the transponder, the ECU. So I think they've obviously decided that speccing this blue car up as an endurance spec car is a quicker, easier and more likely to result in a reliable solution than repairing the 930, which I'll tell you, John, is a lot more damage than it looked when we saw it being brought back on the pallet earlier. And in other news here, there's also the 931s in bits, and that's got a front, at least the front radiator, so the radiator on the left-hand side is leaking. Now, it doesn't seem to see, unless they've already repaired the front damage, that may be a non-damage related cooling system. So lots of work here in this pit on the 931 machine for, sorry, it's HRT, isn't it?
Yes,
it is, yes.
HRT Performance, but they are, there's a lot of teams, many of which you know within the Creventic series are kind of sharing expertise. They're working with other, a lot of them they're working obviously to give expertise to these new burgeoning regional teams, which is fantastic to see, like QMMF. So I think we're going to see the QMF probably in blue come race day. Not sure they could get it wrapped as well, but yeah, that 930, that's now a spares donor car, poor thing.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Nick Damon down there in the pit lane. QMMF, the Qatar Motorcycle and Motorsport Federation, fielded 2 cars in Kuwait with local drivers. Qatar right in the middle of expanding its motorsport. Obviously, we've seen the motorcycles there for many years. They've just done a deal with Formula One
10 years.
for 10 years, and they will also next year, 2024, start a long-term agreement with the World Endurance Championship to be the opening round of the FIA WEC. My next statement, before we get to the car that's off the track, which I think is the MRS car again, isn't it? Yes, it is, the 989, the white and red Porsche. This next statement may or not be connected to the fact that more motorsport is popping up in Qatar. Their new-ish Minister of Sport is in Qatar.
No, well, there's a Saudi Minister for Sport who I know.
Oh yes, that's right. Sorry,
It's that one. Prince Abdulaziz bin Turki Al Faisal.
Yes,
and he's looking after all the Saudi F1 type things as whatever. The QMMF in Qatar, whose manager is an ex-radical Middle East champion, Amro Al-Hamid, who is a great mate of ours, and he has been very much on the forefront of pushing to get more motorsport in the region. They couldn't have any in there last year because apparently there was a football game on.
Red flag with 3 3/4 minutes to go.
Yes, and it may be because of the car that is... he stopped at the fence there. Yeah, I can see him from the commentary box on the top of turn 14.
That is the MRS Porsche.
Yeah, exactly, and they have very quick corner, that one, and if you lose it coming and lose the back end there, that's where you're going to end up, where that car is up against the wall. So it doesn't look like contact, it just looks like it's stopped there. He was trying to get back to pit lane, and I think that is it. The clock has stopped at 3 minutes 45. That is so difficult. That is so difficult. You're going to get like an outlap.
You'll have to be quick.
Oh,
you can't faff about going out. You're going to have to do a 2-minute outlap.
Yeah, and
2.5 minute outlap, and you will get that one lap. So we will have a 1 lap shootout here for fastest time. At the moment in this session, the fastest time belongs to the 3rd place car, Maxime Soulet for Haas RT in the Audi R8, 2 minutes 0.109, just ahead of Pure Racing's Porsche, or Pure RXing, in fact.
RX, yes.
Yeah, and that's Harry King, the UK or Carrera Cup GB champion. Harry, very well thought of in Porsche circles. He's got a 2 minutes 0.154, 2 minutes 0.271 for Axel Jeffries in the Almanar Racing by Haupt Racing Mercedes. 2 minutes 2.25. Oh no, hang on. I'm very sorry. Dylan Pereira, come and thrash me with a damp piece of celery. 1 minute 59.999 is a very quick time, but not as quick as Pierre Caffer's 159.654. I think Pierre is the quickest guy out there, followed by Dylan Pereira for Trezor Attemptor Racing.
You are correct, John. They are the only 2 sub 2 minute times out there.
That's impressive.
It is indeed.
Dylan Pereira has been around for a little while now.
He's spent a lot of time here in the Porsche series, the Lechner Run Porsche series here. I remember when I was commentating here, he's a Porsche Super Cup champion of 2022, and he is
how old is he now?
25-year-old.
Really?
Yeah, based in Luxembourg. And I've just pulled his list of his accomplishments up on my screen, and it's filling my screen, and he's 25.
He must have been racing since his late teens, because he's certainly raced in Carrera Cup Middle East. He's done a couple of other bits and pieces as well.
2015, he won the second in the A3T category before he came into Porsches.
Yeah.
So he was back in the early TCR days.
I'd really like to see Dylan advance his career. He's racing with Audi and Trezor Attempto Racing here. If I'm honest, and again, apologies, Dylan, another thrashing from a piece of damn celery I feel coming here, I thought he was a bit older than that. That just tells you how early he was into this and how much experience he has
Well,
has garnered.
He races in multiple championships every year. So he's doing the Porsche. He's doing Porsche. He's doing WEC. And the FIA Endurance Trophy. LMGTE. He's got many things under there. Porsche 24-hour series Continental Champions. So he's been in like 3 or 4 different series every year as we go green again with 3:35 to go. He's very young and very accomplished.
Very young and very experienced.
Yes, exactly.
Just after 6 a.m. in Washington, D.C. in the metro area. Hello to Fair Use. Working on the computer and watching the feed. Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Hello, Fair Use. All joking aside, Happy New Year. I hope everything is going well and you and yours here for Christmas and New Year. It's the dash for top position. We're almost halfway through qualifying. 2 more 15-minute qualifying sessions, single driver sessions tonight to set the grid. That will be done in darkness. There's 2 minutes and 45 seconds to go, and everybody is streaming out on the track. Phil Anson.
Yeah, still quite a few cars in the pits. I don't think they've got an out lap and a hot lap of fuel left in their cars. That may be the problem in pit lane because they were on hot laps when we had the red flag. The same thing that happened in the TCE and GT4 qualifying with that red flag. It just spoilt the run, and at the moment we still have probably a third of the field in pit lane. Everybody else out on their hot laps. We've got 2 minutes and 17 seconds to go. Most of the field is up to turn 12 now. They'll make it round. The 777 may be in a bit of trouble to get there and get that hot lap in. It's got a bit of traffic, but traffic and slow cars in front of you may impinge on your quick lap in this Quali 2 session for all of the GTs. And when we started, there was 42 cars on there. We've got 40 left, and I can't tell you how many are out on track at the moment because by the time I count them, the clock will tick to 0. But the 46 is back out there again. It's very much how much fuel have you got left in that tank? Can you get that one hot lap in, as most of the cars are making their way down through turn 16 now to start the lap with 1:35 to go. They will get the checkered flag the next time around. This is it. It's all or nothing as the 46 heads down the start-finish straight to start their lap. That's Valentino Rossi at the wheel of the 46 this time out as he pulls out to put a move on the Porsche down into turn 1. 9 times world champion, or 4.5 if they have 4 wheels.
And he's got through to start this lap ahead of the 988, coming down through turn number 3, neat and tidy. Really, the thing that motorcycle racers need to learn is how much later you can turn in with 4 contact patches instead of 2.
Well, they do have more contact patches, but their knees and elbows now.
Well, that is a fair point, well made. They're keeping you off the ground, not necessarily giving you grip, in fairness. I had a long chat many years ago with James Whitnam when he and I did a bit of Ford Fiesta racing, and once he got his head round it, he was mighty quick. Been talking to Vincent Voss and the guys at WRT who put this deal together to get Valentino Rossi driving with WRT, and he is a sponge. Yes, he might have won 9 world championships on 2 wheels. He knows he's starting again and he wants to learn, and he's taking in all that information as if by some kind of osmosis. And news coming from BMW Motorsport this week that a test and a future competitive drive in the BMW GTP LMDH car is not out of the question for Valentino Rossi. Imagine Rossi in the top class at Le Mans. Can you imagine that?
You wouldn't be able to buy tickets for it.
You can't buy tickets for it this year anyway.
Exactly.
Imagine that for next season. Here comes Alex Rossi. Here comes Valentino Rossi through to turn number 16. The car looks well underneath him. Gets the power on nice and early. Keeps all 4 Hankooks on the circuit and goes through to complete the lap.
201.045 is his best. That wasn't quite his best lap, but he did a 201.045.
Just a little bit of traffic at the start of that lap with the number 988 Porsche.
Yep, and 11th place overall at the moment after 2 qualifying sessions for the 46 car. And we've got somebody, that's him coming into pit lane. the checkered flag is out. Q2 comes to an end. And we're halfway through qualifying, John.
That's all.
Wow.
That is all.
Wow.
So Harry King goes through. He did not improve on his 2:01.154. I'm looking to see if there's any more sub 2 minute laps. Can't see anyone. So fastest in that session, Pierre Caffer with a 1:59.654. That takes them to 6th in Pro-Am and 17th in GT3. And them being Phoenix Racing, I should say, in the number 1 car. So it is the number 911 Pure RXing Porsche that at half distance has a round about half a tenth advantage on average over the Haas RT Audi in second, who's got 2/10 on average ahead of the Audi of Tresor Attempto Racing, and then another 2/10 back to the 4th place Mercedes. Check that, the 4th place Mercedes, my apologies, of Almanar Racing. Herbert Motorsport is the 2nd Porsche in the top 5, and BMW's top spot is Jean-Baptiste Simonara and his Team WRT number 7. And they are 4/10 on average after 2 15-minute sessions behind the provisional Paul Sitter. New set of Hankook tyres, another tank of fuel after night practice tonight. 2 more 15-minute sessions to decide TCE and GT pole position for tomorrow's Hankook 24 Hours of Dubai. Let's go down to Nick Damon in the pit lane, who will be somewhere near the number 911 pits.
No, I'm not. I decided that we spoke to them. Let's speak to the man who was the individual fastest in this session, and that is Pierre Caffer from the reigning Drivers' Championship team, the number 1 car, Phoenix Racing. Pierre, the old magic came back then.
Yeah, it's very nice to be back here in Dubai with our Audi, and right now I have to say it was really nice to drive because conditions are nice cars here, and I'm looking forward for the race.
How was the traffic in qualifying? There were 40 cars out there.
Yeah, it's quite exciting. It reminds me to the old days, and it's always unique, like on the Nordschleife. Unfortunately, we had a red flag in the qualifying, but that happens for everyone. So I was lucky in the beginning of the practice, and now we are looking forward for the next one in the night.
A lot more very fast teams here than we see in some of the other races. How is the team changing its approach?
No, we're doing the same style like last year. We're not changing anything. Creventic is such a nice championship and grows again, in my opinion. And for endurance races and gentlemen cars are really unique to drive here.
Great stuff, thank you, Pierre. Okay, so that is the end of our first couple of qualifiers. We will be back at 6 o'clock local time, which is 2 o'clock in the UK, with night practice for an hour. And then we have 2 more qualifying sessions, so session 3 and session 4, also of 15 minutes of break, both in the TCE and GT4 section, and then later on for the GT3s and 992. So a repeat of this afternoon's environment. So you have loads of qualifying and a night practice, non-stop action from Dubai.
just the first half. That was exciting enough. We don't roll straight into night qualifying tonight. We will be back with you at just before 6 o'clock local time. 5 minutes before 6 o'clock. That's 4 hours ahead of GMT. Night practice first for an hour, and then we repeat what you've just seen. 2 15-minute sessions for the TCE contenders. 2 different drivers, 1 set of Hankook tyres. Fill the car with fuel to the level that you wanted beforehand, and then don't touch it. And then for the GT categories, exactly the same. 1 set of tyres, 2 15-minute sessions, 1 driver in each session, and the averages are added together with the times that we've posted this afternoon to set the grid for the 2023 Hankook Dubai 24 Hours. Thanks to Nick Damon and Joe Bradley in the pits. Phil Anson was alongside me. 0221 did brilliant jobs out on the cameras, and up in London it was Tim Gray that made everything work to get us to the world on radio. From Dubai, for the moment, a short moment because we have some racing coming up for you, but we'll see you for more 24-hour action tonight just before 6 o'clock local time. Bye-bye.